The Gift of Gab Show, your go-to lifestyle podcast, covering everything from psychology and relationships to politics and current events. Live from Chicago, it's the Gift of Gab Show. Gift of Gab Show. Here's your host, Gabby Smith.
Today, I am thrilled to introduce you to a former NFL Super Bowl champion, Mr. Darcy Johnson. Not only can he play some football, he also works hard at giving back. Welcome to the Gift of Gab Show, Darcy.
Thanks for having me, Gabby.
Now, before we begin, I gotta ask, what is the story behind your name? Some people might think it's a female name. Can you tell us any history behind it?
I wouldn't say a female name. I would say like a unisex name or something like that. But definitely, my mom, she was watching a show when she was pregnant with me, and one of the guys' name was Darcy, and she decided to name me Darcy. She thought that was a beautiful name, so I'm glad she did. The meaning of Darcy means dark, but I'm just trying to bring light to the name Darcy.
I like that. Okay, bring light to it. That's great. That's great. So obviously you played in the NFL.
Yes.
When did you know that you wanted to play in the NFL?
Some of me and my friends, well, just really looking at my brother growing up. He was a stud on the football field, and he had an opportunity to play in the NFL as well. He played for the Minnesota Vikings for 5 years. So I had a great example of someone who went down the right path to get to where he wanted to go. But three of my friends, we used to always talk about being, we loved the Los Angeles Raiders back then when I was young, and they had Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson. And we would always talk about, hey, man, let's make it to the NFL, and we're going to get us a mansion, and we're going to connect the mansions together, and it's just going to be a party. And, you know, so that's when I first started talking about playing in the National Football League.
So how old were you then when you were going to get your mansions
maybe
together?
About 8 years old, little kid, man, and, you know, just had dreams of making it out of small town and Palaca, Florida, and just wishing and hoping.
So you eventually, your dreams came true, right?
Yes.
You play with the Giants as well as the St. Louis Rams. So tell us a little bit about your experience with those two teams.
It was very different. Going from New York City to St. Louis was a bit of a cultural shock for me, because in New York, I mean, it was just, you guys know, it's just like Chicago. Here in Chicago, just bright lights, everything moving so fast. And the organization, so much tradition behind the New York Giant name. And, you know, not to say St. Louis didn't have that tradition, but it was just a different level of the culture was just different. And it was hard for me to adjust to.
So did you prefer the Giants over the Rams, would you say?
I did prefer the Giants over the Rams. I played for the Giants for 4 years, so and that was the team that gave me my shot. So it was really, really bittersweet leaving New York and going to St. Louis. And I think I was, you know, pretty much on a hangover trying to leave New York.
All right, so let's talk about 2008. That was a huge year for you, because that's the year you played for the Giants and you won the Super Bowl, right? 14 Patriots, 17 Giants.
Yes, we won the Super Bowl that year. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you guys a little bonus. Let's rewind back a little bit to 2007. And, you know, 2007 was the year I got married. It was the year that a lot of things happened to me that wasn't necessarily, you know, at the time wasn't good, but, you know, later on, you know, it was good for me, because actually in the Super Bowl year, I broke my leg. So I had, you know, ACL, MCL, and that's right after I got married and came into training camp. I was listed as number 2 player behind Jeremy Shockey. I had everything going for myself. I was so happy, and I didn't even get a chance to play in the Super Bowl year, but I had the best teammate in the world. He's on television now. His name is Michael Strahan, and he just came up to me. He said, "Hey, Darcy, no matter what, you are a part of this team, and I want you to stay with us this year and be there for support, and I want you to help out the younger guys to we're going to go after this goal of a Super Bowl." And, you know, little bit known that we were going to do what we did, and ultimately, you know, everybody knows the story about us in the New England Patriots.
That is amazing. Mm-hmm. So Michael Strahan was the one that really helped motivate you to get through it, even after your injury.
Oh, man, best teammate ever, and just a great person, great guy. and for him to do that to a guy, I was a young player at the time, and just to pick me up and pick my spirits up and make me feel like I was actually playing. And I mean, it was just amazing, man. I'm forever grateful for him for that.
Wow. What 2007 and 2008. I mean, huge, memorable years. Now, I know also in 2008, around August timeframe, you're right, you started the Darcy J Foundation. Yeah.
I started Darcy J Foundation. Now, this is something that, I didn't know nothing about the nonprofit industry at all, Gabby. And I was just like, wow, like I always knew I wanted to do something to give back to the community and help, kids that grew up like me, with a single mom. And I didn't know how to get there. But, fortunately for us, my wife started working at a private school in Jersey City. It's actually the same school that's Bob Hurley Senior runs in Jersey City, Powerhouse Basketball. And she was actually in the development office and going over to New York City, raising millions of dollars to keep the school going. And from that standpoint, she started to be like, hey, I kind of like this a little bit. And she was like, could I go back to school and get my master's in nonprofit management? And I was like, hey, we making a couple of $1,000s. I wasn't a millionaire at that point, but I had a couple of $1,000. And I said, I'm going to throw a couple of dollars in there, babe. You go get educated and we're going to take this thing to the next level.
What support. That's great. So she had a dream. You helped her out. I love it. That is so good. So tell us a little bit about your foundation. What is it all about?
Oh, it's all about people like you, Gabby. It's all about mothers and women and families. Anything we can do to support empowering women, inspiring women, I want to be a part of. I said a little earlier that I was raised by a single mom, so that's what inspired me to do it. But this organization is not just about my passion, but it's about the community's passion. And how I connect with my mom is not always the same way someone else can connect with their mom. Someone probably lost their mom, he probably gone on, and somebody probably was raised by their grandmother or their auntie. Or, it's women out there that couldn't have kids that basically, they raised the kid, and they're just as much as a mom as a biological mom. So that's why I created this organization, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, well, they say it takes a village, right?
It takes a village
to raise a family.
Absolutely.
So that's incredible. Now you live in Chicago. What made you move to Chicago?
Opportunity. I mean, most of the time when we have an opportunity, we always dream about staying in our comfort zone. And it was an opportunity for me because me and my wife had moved back to Florida. We were in Orlando. I mean, we were going to the beach on the weekends. I mean, we were doing good. And for God to call us to come to Chicago, because I'm a very spiritual person. And, for him to say, hey, I'm going to give you guys this opportunity in Chicago, and I want you to go up there and do some work. And, I consider myself an entrepreneur as well. So I had an opportunity to partner in a company called Fit Speed Athletic Performance with my best friend, and that's Brandon Marshall. And we started these facilities around Chicago. We got a facility up in Northbrook and Naperville. And what I do is I'm the operating partner in that. And my wife actually had an opportunity to come up and be the president of the Project 375, which is a mental health organization. So it's a pretty cool thing for us. It was a huge opportunity. And for us to come to Chicago, not knowing why we came to Chicago, but now I kind of see why. So I'm very happy to be here. This is an awesome city. I'm getting used to the cold. I know it's May and it's still 40 degrees, but I love this city, man.
Yeah, you got to love the city for the city, because not the weather.
I know, right? I'm glad I'm downtown, I'll tell you that.
That is so good. Well, so God called you. I mean, that's such an amazing testimony that you had an opportunity here with Brandon Marshall. Obviously, we love Brandon Marshall in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Your wife had an opportunity as well, because you attended the University of Central Florida, correct?
Yeah. I went to UCF. It's in Orlando. A lot of people try to get that mixed up with USF, but we're UCF and we're in Orlando. And I met my wife there. I met most of my friends that's still my friends, like Brandon and his wife Mishi. And for it'll come full circle for me to have all these colleges coming out of high school wanting me to attend their school on a football scholarship. For me to choose UCF over some of the big powerhouses is, it's just, I made the right pick. Well, my mom made the pick for me, actually, because she didn't want me to go off anywhere. It was only 2 hours from home, and she was like, that's far enough. So I was fortunate to choose UCF.
Well, that worked out for you and your mom then.
Yeah. I'm glad I did stay. I mean, it was a lot went on, so it was a blessing.
That is a blessing. And now you're in Chicago. So you have an amazing upcoming summer event that's being sponsored by your foundation. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about it?
Well, when I came to Chicago, one thing that I found out really, really quickly is how crazy this city is over its sports teams. I never, ever been anywhere in the world that these people love their teams. And it's the little things. It's like, if they're a Cubs fan, they're going to be wearing a Cubs hat. But if they want Chicago White Sox to do good if they're not doing good. That's just how much they love Chicago. So I'm just patronizing your team, wearing your colors year round. You don't really see too much of, people wear hats and stuff for style. Like they may have a red Cincinnati hat on. Not in Chicago. It's going to be a Cubs or a White Sox fan. I mean, it was just amazing. And what I did was I said, okay, with all this love for your sports team, why isn't it an event to celebrate that? I don't see any event where all of the sports teams come together to do a day of celebration to celebrate Chicago and celebrate the fans. So that's what I'm trying to do with this Sports Meets Family Chicago. We have Wintrust Bank that came on board. We got some local businesses over in the Lincoln Park area with the subways. We're trying to talk to New Balance. We got a lot. Right now I think we're at $25,000 raised so far in the last 3 weeks. So it's growing. We getting a lot of people on board that's supporting it. But what this event is for us to basically, we got one portion is a clinic. So kids are going to come out and they're going to do a lot of performance training. And we're going to teach them how to run, how to do starts on a 40-yard dash, to teach them about the vertical jump, how to jump, things like that. And then the other portion of the camp is going to be a community portion. So you don't necessarily have to be a sports person. You can come out, we got some people we talking to like Charles Tillman. We got Dwayne Wade's foundation coming on board, and it's going to be like a literacy section for reading. It's going to be arts and crafts, body painting, bounce houses. It's going to be an event just for everybody, for families to come and celebrate.
Oh my goodness.
There's a lot of passion came out of there.
Yeah, I love the passion because you just dropped so many positive Chicago names. We all love Charles Tillman. We all love Dwayne Wade. Those are some amazing Chicago heroes in our town, and it's so exciting that you're partnering with them. Can you give us the logistics? When is it and where?
Oh, it's going to be on July 8th. That's a Friday. The kids are out of school, of course. July 8th. From 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's going to be a 4-hour event, and it's just one of the other things we're going to be doing is we're going to be busing kids in. So that's a pretty cool thing. Kids from the south side, the west side, that's probably never been to the University of DePaul, probably never been past 47th Street. You guys hear me? I can tell. I'm learning the streets.
You know bit. These streets so right now. Yes.
Probably never been past 47th Street, but definitely it's something that I'm very excited about. So it's going to be Friday, July 8th from 8 a.m. to 12 at DePaul University, Wishfield. So it's going to be a pretty cool event.
That sounds amazing. Now, how can a listener support you? What do you need? Do you need money? Do you need time? Do you need volunteers? What can we do to support it? Because we want it to be a success.
Oh, I need you. Whatever on your heart out there. Anybody that's listening that can hear me, we need volunteers. Of course, we need businesses to come out and be a part of this and sponsor it, whether it's monetary donations or in-kind gifts. It don't matter. This event, the foundation I'm bringing, it's 100% of these proceeds are going back to the community. So it's nobody getting paid. It's nothing happening. It's just, it's something that I'm bringing, that I'm just trying to share, my love and what I'm doing for here in the city of Chicago. Because, when I got here, like I didn't know why he brought me here, but it's just a lot of violence going on around Chicago. And I think that's the number one thing that a lot of people are looking at, but it's so much to what's going on and why kids are out here in these streets are killing each other. And I just think even people up in Lincoln Park or downtown, they're just as guilty as these kids that's pulling the trigger, because we're not embracing the influence and the platform that God has given us to reach back and come and help people. So I kind of can see the vision and why I'm here and why the foundation is why I'm launching it now. And but I can go down this road all day, so we can keep going. Well,
Chicago's lucky to have you and your vision, because you went to University of Central Florida. You lived in New York. You lived in St. Louis. This could have been any other place. Right?
Oh, yes.
But you picked Chicago.
Oh, man.
So we're pretty lucky. Now, when the event is over, how will you measure success? First of all, I think it's so amazing that 100% of the profits that you are gaining from this event are going back to the community, are going back to charity. And not a lot of foundations can say that, not 100%. So what is your goal for success?
My goal is of course, we don't have programming going on. So I find organizations that their missions coincide with our mission, and I donate funds, not only funds but my time. And I basically I'm in the process now of creating a board and having some strong women on this board, because I definitely think this organization needs to be led by women, and what I'm doing, because it takes women to understand women. And I feel like that, and men, we play a very important role. But sometimes, we're here to provide for our women and protect and pastor our women. But at the same time, we're here to support them as well. So we don't support like we need to support at times. And I want this organization and my reflection on this organization to lead by example. I'm just, as a man, I'm going to lead by example, but not necessarily not saying I'm going to be the one to take it to the next level. It takes a family. It takes a village.
It does take that village. Now, we've got the event July 8th. We're all out there. We're all going to support you. We really want to help you out. Do you have any other charity events planned this year or next year?
Right now it's like Sports Meets Family is going to be my main event. Of course, I got other events that's for the future. I'm a Supermom 5K that I do down in Florida. It does very, very well. Just like I said, you can go to www.darcyjfoundation.org to read more in detail about our organization. But just to back up a little bit, some of the proceeds from this event is going to be going to like the Jesse White Foundation. He does a lot here in the community. With backpacks and school supplies for college students. That's what I do throughout Florida. I give out over 20 to 30,000 backpacks a year throughout the entire state of Florida. So I would like to bring that same, because I think the kids need the tools to get to where they need to get. And I think with gifting them those things and mentoring them, it goes a long way.
You have such a big heart, because I do know that you've helped out more than 5,000 people in the state of Florida.
Absolutely. That number actually went up.
It did.
It has gone up now. I got to update that on the website, but we definitely continue to grow this program. I couldn't do it without my partners down there in Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, and my hometown of Palaca, Florida. And it's just an amazing thing. I never imagined it doing what it's doing now, but it's doing it. So
It's incredible. And what a blessing that you are here doing it in Chicago, because we need it. And you're right. We are some diehard fans, so we need this. We need this. Man. And we all need to come together with our passion for the city of Chicago and our sports teams. So can you tell us a little bit about your kids? Because I know you have a young son and daughter. Do you explain to them the work that you're doing? You're doing such amazing things. Do they understand it, or are they still a little too young?
My daughter, she gets it. She gets it already. And it's just like ingrained in her, because the foundation is older than she is. You know, she's 6 years old. The foundation been around for, 8 years. And she'll say Darcy J Foundation, or she'll say Supermom. And she just been around it. Her mom's super talented when it comes to operations. And now she's in a leadership position. So she's growing. So just for her being able to be around us every day and having to work, and she's listening to some of the business conversations we're having, I just think it's just setting her up for success just for being around it, because I've prayed over her, and I want her to be an international businesswoman. She's actually learning Japanese right now, so doing things like that and having an opportunity that opportunity I didn't never have. Is going to be beneficial for her as well as playing tennis.
I know. I hear she is a tennis superstar at 6.
Hey, man, she going to be a superstar.
Serena needs to watch out, right? Serena Williams.
I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you guys this here. With this tennis thing, it was something that my daughter, she's never stopped moving. Never stop moving. She jumps around. She plays. And most people, I was that type of kid growing up, and I had some behavior issues for not listening growing up. But it wasn't me, not. I'll be the kid that the first one get done with their work, then mess with everyone else. That was me, and just want to be the class clown, and and she's every bit of me. And I can understand her more than most people can understand her, and she has a gift inside of her. And I'm going to support her, and I know she's going to be successful.
So why tennis, though? That's not considered a mainstream sport. What made you get her into tennis?
For one, I'm going to just keep it real. We're a minority, so the African American community, sports like that growing up, most of the time we don't have we don't have the privilege to be exposed to things like that. And now with me being my brother was the first generation to graduate from our school. I was second. And, for me being able to see it's some sports she can excel in at a high level. And it not necessarily got to be basketball or softball. It can be something where, I put a racket in her hand and just follow the same line that Serena and Sloane Stephens that are doing right now. And they look like her. So that's the first thing she said to me when she saw Serena for the first time. This is what my daughter told me. I never pushed her to play tennis. We were looking at I think it was the U.S. Open. And she saw Serena on TV. And she said, she looked like me. How powerful is that for a 6-year-old to say she looks like me? And she was like, who is that, Daddy? And I said, that's Serena Williams. That's the #1 female tennis player in the world. And she looked at her and she looked at it again. And she turned around and she looked at me dead in my eyes. And she said, Daddy, I want to be the #1 tennis player in the world. Now, she has never picked up a racket, never knew nothing about tennis, but she said, I want to be that. I'm gonna be the #1 tennis player in the world.
And how old was she?
She was like 4 years old.
Amazing.
She was 4 years old. And right then I said, okay, God, I hear you speaking to me. That's what I'm gonna do. And it comes natural to her. So she's getting better and better. And I want to give a plug to XS Sports and Tennis Foundation on 47th Street. A guy named Kamal, he runs that. He's actually a FAMU graduate. He's doing amazing things here in Chicago, and they're actually getting a brand new center they're building on 51st and State. And I look forward to support him and his efforts in building this center to give minorities the opportunity, because it's not just black kids in there. You got Indian, you got Hispanic, you got all types of minorities that's coming in. and playing tennis now and there. It's pretty cool.
Well, we need that. We need all the support. It's so important for us to get active and not be idle, sitting in front of the TV all day, every day. I mean, we need to get our kids moving and being active. And I applaud you for getting her involved in tennis as well as Japanese.
Oh, yeah.
That is incredible.
I mean, it was amazing because naturally coming to a new city, and I'm hearing about all the stuff that CPS is going through. I'm like, oh man, like I'm looking for a private school, right? Chicago
Public Schools. All right.
So I'm like, I'm like, okay, let's try it out. So when I got to Chicago, I didn't know you had to get in a lottery. Like you got to get in a lottery for your kid to go to a good school. And lucky for her, I mean, she hit the lottery basically, and basically she's at Andrew Jackson Language Academy downtown, and they basically, you can pick between 5 different languages. So it was a blessing, and for us to come from Florida, know nothing, to get that, it was a blessing.
Truly a blessing.
Oh, man.
She is going to be a smart superstar.
Oh yes.
Now your son, I know he's 2 years old.
Okay.
Do you want him to play football? Or do you want him to kind of steer away from any kind of injury, contact type of sports, maybe do golf or tennis?
Oh, man. You know what's funny about that? My son was 1 year old, and he wanted to play catch with me with a football. Like, Daddy, back up. He was like, back up. He got an arm, man. This little kid, I'm like, it's the bloodline. The kid threw a football at 1 year old all the way across a room. And I was like, I'm not even playing football no more. Like, where are you getting this from? And of course, he goes to the football games and sees Daddy play, sees Brandon play. And he is kind of like, okay, I see some of Daddy old pictures. He's playing football. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to expose him to tennis. I'm going to expose him to every sport. Like my daughter, I think I'm going to be like her focus. Like, I'm just have her playing nothing but tennis. Like she go play basketball rec at the gym. She like, Dad, I can make the hoop. And she's athletic. Like, she's 6 and she's shooting a J, man, and hitting it. And she don't play every day. Like, so I know she's athletic, just like Serena was with basketball, and she decided to play tennis. But I'm going to give her the opportunity to do something that, to achieve greatness. But my son, I think I'm going to let him play everything. I'm going to let him play baseball. I'm gonna let him play soccer if he want. I'm gonna let him try anything he want to do, and whatever sticks. Now football, if he get to the point where he really like football and he's excelling at it, and now I know what positions to put him in football, and I know that. I know he can either be a quarterback or a cornerback or something. I know where to steer him at when you play football. So, and there's no safe way to play the sport of football. I mean, some of the things I know now, I would have thought about not playing, but to have that's your meal ticket and your way out, you're not necessarily going to worry about your health. You're going to play that. You're going to take that risk. And I took the risk, and I got hurt, and I'm done, and I just have to deal with it. It's going to be better for my kids, though, and my family.
Absolutely. Well, your kids, I mean, they've got you, they've got their uncle, their godfather. I mean, it's definitely in the blood. So they're going to be very active, but not only active, smart.
Yep, village, smart. One of the things I do now that's not in our communities is we don't really emphasize reading. We don't read. We don't tell our kids they need to read. Everything is in a book. Everything's there for you to read, and if we don't even have the system set up for when a kid reads, if they're not interpreting the words or not understanding it, there's no way for them to go and ask. Because my mom, God bless her soul, I feel like she was the smartest woman I ever met in my life. She only had up to a high school diploma. So with me going home and say, hey, Mom, I need help with my work, only thing she was able to do is say, hey, keep trying. Try harder. Just go in there and just try harder, because she really couldn't help me with my homework. And then, now it's to the point now where my wife is a college graduate, a master's degree. My daughter goes home now, and I can be lazy a little bit because she's ready to take on that role, like tutoring our kids and helping our kids. So it's a pretty cool thing.
Well, you and your wife have done such amazing things for your kids. I mean, I'm not only impressed what you've done for your kids, but what you're doing for the city of Chicago. Can you tell our listeners again the website that they can go to see all the details about your foundation?
www.darcyjfoundation.org.
Well, Darcy, thank you so much for coming in today. You are doing amazing work in our community, and it's really important to always give back and help others. And people, they talk about it, but you're actually doing something about it. You are setting such a wonderful example for all of us to follow. I just really thank you. Thank you for all that you're doing for the city of Chicago. My listeners and I, we look forward to helping you and for making your upcoming event a big success.
Oh, man, thank you guys so much. One thing I leave, every time I get on the radio or I speak publicly, I ask the city of Chicago to please adopt me. Please adopt me. You know, I'm an orphan in the city. I don't know too many people. I attach real fast and I love people. You know, my wife is the buffer. She'll tell me like, hey, Darcy, leave it alone. Let it go. I'll be like, man, but I love people so much. It just, you know, it just comes out naturally. And I just want to tell Chicago that your city is awesome. You know, no matter how the world is, you know, from the outside, you know, how they're looking at it and the perception, it's actually a really, really beautiful city. And it's a great place to raise kids. And the culture is just amazing. And I mean, we have these issues going on now, but it's happening for a reason. And we're going to be an example to the world because, you know, if we didn't have this platform and these violent acts and these things wasn't going on, you know, it wouldn't be a story. So, you know, we're going to be the model for the world. But like, how did you guys do it? And when God comes and he's ready to release that, Chicago is going to be number one. You know, they said New York is number one, but one day Chicago is going to be number one. I believe it.
We are going to be number one, and you and your wife are doing such amazing things. And I thank the two of you because you are such an inspiration. From not even being born in the city, but for you doing so much for the city. We are so grateful, and we are truly blessed to have you.
Thank you. Hey, you guys keep listening to The Gift of Gab. Gabby, you're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy.
The Gift of Gab show, hosted by Gabby Smith, is sponsored by Bar Louie, located at 1325 South Halsted Street in Chicago. Go there for the handcrafted martinis, 30 beers on tap, and delicious food. Open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. As Bar Louie always says, eat, drink, and be happy.